I'm not going to pretend I can really think about anything other than the Trump-Elon thing. Well, I mean, these guys were so close. It was like Brangelina or Bennifer. The first sign was last week at Elon's little going-away party. Remember that in the Oval Office? And Elon showed up with a black eye. No, it's not that.
Bill Maher has never held back when it comes to Donald Trump. For years, the HBO host of Real Time has ridiculed, dissected, and downright dismantled Trump's ego on national television. But nothing and no one could have prepared Trump for what Maher did the night the Epstein files dropped. It started with a slow leak, a few redacted pages here, a few names unsealed there. The Jeffrey Epstein files had long been buried in sealed court documents, locked behind legal barriers, and whispered about in conspiracy circles. But suddenly, they were out, and the names, oh, the names, set the internet ablaze. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Billionaires, royals, politicians, and yes, Donald Trump. Again, most of the public already knew there were connections, flight logs, old photos, Trump's bizarre quotes about Epstein liking young girls. But these new documents weren't vague innuendos. They were first-hand accounts, testimonies, logs, dates, details, allegations. And then came Bill Maher. Standing beneath the stage lights, he opened his show with a smirk that screamed, "I've been waiting for this moment for years." Well, 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 Maher began, flipping through the newly released court files as if they were a stand-up set list. Looks like the files are out, and if you thought Trump's hair was fake, wait till you see his denials. The crowd roared, but Maher didn't stop there.
When you think about it, the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world, it's like Godzilla versus King Kong. What happened this week, this has been brewing for a while, okay, people? No, he said it was because he was roughhousing with this kid and the kid clocked him, and yeah, I believe that. And so Trump said, I offered him a little makeup.
For the next 10 minutes, he tore into the former president with razor-sharp sarcasm, calling the Epstein revelations the worst Home Alone 2 sequel imaginable, and mocking Trump's longtime claim that he'd never liked Epstein despite being photographed with him multiple times and once calling him a terrific guy. Maher raised his eyebrows. Terrific guy? He ran a pedophile island. What exactly was terrific? The private jet, the underage girls, or the fact that you two both had matching tastes in lawsuits? The audience gasped, then laughed again. The tone was vicious, but the content was serious. Maher read aloud from the court transcripts, unsealed depositions suggesting Trump had visited Epstein properties more frequently than he'd admitted. One witness account even claimed Trump had once made gross comments about a girl's age at Epstein's New York mansion. Maher didn't mince words. You know it's bad when even Prince Andrew is saying, "Dude, that's too far." The segment went viral within hours. Clips circulated everywhere. Hashtags exploded. Maher vs. Trump, Epstein files. Even Trump's loyal base couldn't ignore the noise. Right-wing commentators scrambled to spin it, calling it just another hit job by Hollywood liberals. But this wasn't an opinion piece. Maher had receipts, and he made sure everyone knew it. Ivanka, Melania, Barron, every Trump family member was dragged back into the limelight by association. The Epstein story was radioactive, and Bill Maher, he just danced in the fallout. But it wasn't just about the comedy. Maher used the moment to hammer a darker point. This isn't just about Trump. It's about how power protects power. Epstein knew things. He had the tapes, the lists, the secrets. And all these guys, Trump, Clinton, Dershowitz, they all circled him like flies on a corpse.
If Godzilla was on ketamine and King Kong had a comb over, you know, Elon came in there to reduce the government bloat and all that stuff, and then they have this big, beautiful bill that's nothing but government bloat, which Elon tweeted out. He said it was a disgusting abomination, and he turned it down, and then Trump said, which was interesting.
It was Maher at his most dangerous, funny, furious, and fact-driven. Trump responded, of course. On Truth Social, he called Maher a third-rate clown and mentally unwell. He insisted once again that he had nothing to do with Epstein and that the media was pushing a sick narrative. But no matter how many times Trump denied it, the new documents didn't go away. And Maher, he came back the next week with more. In a follow-up monologue, Maher played old footage, clips of Trump praising Epstein, interviews where he bragged about being around beautiful girls in Palm Beach. Maher stared into the camera and asked, "Why does this guy always talk about underage girls like he's announcing Miss Teen USA?" You could feel the discomfort, not just in the audience, but in the entire conversation, because Maher had done something few others dared. He crossed the line, not carelessly, but boldly. He didn't dance around the implication, he dragged it into the spotlight. The fallout spread fast. Cable news hosts picked up Maher's comments, quoting him even on networks that normally ignored real time. Analysts debated whether Maher had gone too far, but the truth was, it worked. He had reignited the Epstein fire, and this time, it was Trump who was choking on the smoke. Maher's move wasn't without risk. Powerful men don't like being mocked, especially when the punchline hits close to home. But he didn't care, because Maher's brand has never been about safety. It's about speaking the truth, even when it burns. And this one burned. Former insiders began resurfacing. Old employees, former Mar-a-Lago workers, names the media had stopped calling. Suddenly, they had something to say again. One former security guard anonymously told a journalist, "Let's just say there were guests that made us uncomfortable, but no one was allowed to ask questions when Mr. Trump was around." The dots weren't just connecting, they were being drawn in bold ink. And while Trump's team tried to shift the narrative, Maher only leaned in further. "I know people think I'm doing this because I hate Trump," he said during a podcast appearance. "But it's bigger than that. This is about a pattern of behavior, a pattern of cover-ups, and a system that protects the worst kinds of people." He paused. "And sometimes, the only way to expose a monster is to laugh while you pull off his mask." That line echoed across platforms. It was clipped, quoted, and replayed on loop. Memes emerged of Trump in Joker makeup, Epstein's flight log in one hand, a subpoena in the other. Maher wasn't just attacking Trump, he was reshaping the way people saw him. Not as a boisterous ex-president, not as a chaotic businessman, but as a man whose name kept appearing next to victims and traffickers. And once that idea takes hold, it doesn't let go. Behind the scenes, Trump's legal team scrambled. They couldn't sue Maher. Opinion and comedy are protected speech, but they could threaten networks, pressure sponsors, try to silence the segment through indirect intimidation, but HBO stood firm, and Maher, true to form, dared them to try. "You want to take me to court?" he said in a final blow. "Great. I'd love to see you explain to a jury why your name keeps popping up in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book." The studio audience gasped, then roared with applause. Because Maher had done what few dared, weaponized truth wrapped in comedy, and launched it like a missile straight at the heart of political power. And for once, Trump had no comeback, just silence, lawsuits, and the ever-growing, inescapable shadow of Epstein.